The character of Severus Snape from Harry Potter has been a big topic of discussion recently, and it got me thinking about how meaningless his sacrifice really was. Now, this argument hinges on the idea that in Harry Potter, the afterlife exists. Just on its own, the thought of a known, eternal afterlife, to me, cheapens the concept of sacrifice, because what are you really losing that you won't gain back? But besides that, we have to remember that Snape doesn't like Harry. He's doing this for Lily. That's who the sacrifice is for. But Lily and James still exist, right? They're in the afterlife together, still married and in love, I'm assuming. So eventually, when Harry dies, probably of old age because, plot armor goes crazy for him. He's got mommy's love, magic, super wands, Dumbledore's guidance, the power of destiny and friendship. But yeah, when Harry eventually dies, he'll reunite with his mom. But you know who won't? Snape. Assuming the afterlife in their universe is just one place, not divided into heaven and hell, right? Everyone gets to see everyone. That means Snape will most likely run into Lily again, and he will tell her how he sacrificed himself for her son, just like she did. And then she'll say, "Aw, that's so sweet. You're just like the last 80 people who have died today, sacrificing themselves for my son. Thank you for that." So anyways, how was the last 18 years of your life? Did you ever get married, Snape? And Snape is going to say, no. Then she'll call her husband over, who was too busy thanking the other 67 people who died today for their son. And maybe James will come over and apologize for their childhood beef. And then Snape will get to watch the love of his death walk off into the sunset with her husband as they continue their eternity together while he remains forever alone. At least he'll have his mom, I guess. Every boy needs that. This dude died obsessing over a woman just to watch her be with someone else for an eternity, for the rest of existence. That's crazy. Sure, he gave Harry more time to live, but in a few hundred years, that won't matter anymore because his sacrifice, as far as the afterlife is concerned, is temporarily meaningful at best. He'll spend the rest of eternity knowing that he wasted his life and should have found someone else. And that's why you got to put yourself first in life, man. You can't die with that much regret, going out sad. Now, there's an interesting alternate reality possibility for him, though, where Voldy went after the Longbottoms instead of the Potters. There, Bellatrix would have tortured Lily and James to insanity, and maybe when Snape finds out, my theory is he'd probably fake her death and then kidnap her from the hospital or something, and he'd hide her in his house and try to find a way to cure her. But the weird thing about this, though, is that he'd have to be her caretaker, so doing everything for her because of her childlike state. Feed her, bathe her, maybe change her diapers. Let me stop. Let me stop before I say something too crazy. But he's a weird enough guy that you can imagine it. Don't, but you can. Good luck to the new guy. Everyone and their grandma has had something to say about this new casting, but here are my thoughts. We don't get much Snape vs. James elaboration until the 5th book or movie, I think, Order of the Phoenix. And considering how these streaming shows work, we're not going to be getting a 5th season until at least 10 years from now. So ask me what my thoughts are when season 5 is done. Until then, I'll keep gathering them. Poor Snape, I guess. Dying brings him closer to the woman he loves, just not in the way he wants. Thank you for watching. Check out my other Harry Potter video. Have a wonderful day. Bye.